Great. Thank you. Yes, would like to call to order the Pickering School Building Committee. Roll call, please.
Mayor Nicholson,
Present.
Dr. Alvarez, Mr. Bertino. I saw him here earlier.
There he is.
Mr. Bertino? We'll come back. Member Castellanos.
Present. Sorry about that, Mr. Bertino.
Present.
Thank you, thank you. Councilor Chakoudas.
Present. Present.
Mr. Donovan.
Present.
Ms. Drago, Member Gately, Ms. Gerardo, Mr. Kolokides,
Present.
Councilor LaPierre,
Present.
Mr. Makua,
Present.
Mr. Mannion,
Present.
Mr. Marlin,
Present.
Mayor McGee,
Present.
Councilor Meany, Ms. Miller,
Present.
Mr. Ridley,
Present.
Mr. Rittershouse, Ms. Ruggiero,
Present.
Mr. Smart. Okay, we do have a quorum. So I'll share my screen. Right. Can you all see that, the presentation?
Yep. Yes.
Lynn, do you want me to run through the agenda, or do you want to do it?
Sure, go ahead. Thank you.
All right, so administrative actions, we'll go through the meeting minutes from June 12th. We'll give you a quick budget update. Then we've got a project update, which we'll talk about the regulatory permitting and where we are with that. The design update, the main focus for this evening is reviewing and hopefully approving the 60% construction document submission to the MSBA. That draft was circulated yesterday via email with a link. And then we'll give a quick construction update because the contractor has mobilized on the site. We'll do a schedule update, both the project schedule itself as well as the upcoming SBC meetings. So first order is to approve the June 12th meeting minutes, seeking a motion.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Mike. Mr. Mayor, would you like to do just a voice? A voice?
Yes, voice vote's fine.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Mr. Mayor,
Ayes
sound
have
good
it.
to you?
Yep.
All right, thank you. Next, we've got our budget update.
So we have committed 17% of our budget and expended 6% of that budget. And we are at the end of the 6% construction document project phase of the project. We are looking tonight to approve that submission to MSBA, and we will make that, if approved, we'll make that submission by Friday the 12th. Next. So in terms of our cash flow, our projected, we should have been at a total of 10,457,720, but we're currently at 8,798,528, and this is mainly because of our slow start on construction. We had hoped to be well into construction by this point, but we've been held up a little bit by our permitting process. Does anybody have any questions on the budget? I know that Craig also sent out the monthly report, which included the full project budget in there and the status of that. So if anybody has any questions, happy to answer them. Okay.
Tom Mannion has a question.
Okay.
Yeah, what's slowing down the permit process? I just wanted to ask.
Well, I'm hoping to let you know in just a few slides that we really
Okay,
have completed our permitting process, and now we don't look to have any hurdles to move forward from this point, but we'll explain a little bit about that as we get to, well, here's the slide. So
okay, Lynn.
what was holding us up was completing the MIPA process. We were waiting on the SEIR certificate, and it was it was approved on June 28th, and we actually received it on July 2nd. Since then, we've been asking MSBA for our project funding agreement. They came back to us and requested a letter from legal and a letter from Mike, the building commissioner, indicating that we had completed all permitting process required of the project. And we submitted those yesterday. I received confirmation that they had received it, and they would be pressing their legal department to provide us with the project funding agreement. As everyone remembers, the project funding agreement is what allows us to enter our budget into MSBA's ProPay system, and what initiates the reimbursement from MSBA. So we're anxiously awaiting that so that we can start to receive reimbursements for MSBA. We have put together our pre-GMP 2. We're waiting on approval of that. It's our foundations or concrete and steel package. We're looking to get sign off on that so that we can get those contracts awarded so that we can start the submittal process and be ready to receive steel and concrete on site sometime in the fall. And we have mobilized on site, and later on in the construction update phase of the meeting, you'll see what's been done on site to date. We have only one outstanding permit that we need. We do have our temporary conditions permit from MWRA, which allows us to actually work on site temporarily and then for final conditions of the site, we're waiting. That was submitted back in May, and we're anticipating receiving approval on that no later than August. So that shouldn't hold up anything from construction perspective, but that is one thing that is still outstanding. Any other questions on the permitting portion? Okay. So I'm going to turn this over to Jean, but we did send out a draft of the 60% construction document submission, hoping everybody had a chance to take a look at it, at least the first several pages of that, which gives an overall summary of the submission, because it is quite a number of pages. It's a collection of a lot of narratives and reporting of what we had accomplished during this phase of the project, but the first several pages of the project give an overview of what is included in the submission. And with that, Jean, I'll turn it over to you to talk a little bit more about it.
Well, it's pretty similar to the schematic design and the design development submissions that we had done in the past. The MSBA has a prescribed formula asking for all sorts of documents, which is, as Lynn said, everything from narratives to engineering analysis. We've provided them with 3 sets of plans and specifications, actually 4. The phase 0 work, the early bid 1, the early bid 2, and then a compiled set of the 60% construction documents, which when we say compile, just means that we've integrated all the work that's in the first two early bid packages into the 60% set. And that set of drawings and that project manual or the specifications is, I don't know, hundreds of pages. And that was at the end of the link that Craig sent out to you. I just would say we're, besides the bulk, all the typing and all the stuff you have to collate. I mean, everything that we're submitting to MSBA is in great shape. Now we have the MIPA permit. We really don't have anything that we're trying to explain to MSBA. And, I think the document that's going to go in on Friday, should you vote to submit it, is very positive story. And I think it'll be received well by them. Craig, I'm not sure who was able to open the link, but just to give you a sense, the table of contents for the submission is 8 pages long. So, we certainly don't expect everybody to have gone through it and read it. But it's there. And if anyone ever has a question, we can certainly pull up a document to explain anything that people might be wondering about.
And
So,
just, the submission will be tabbed so that it's easy to jump to any section you might want to review. Bookmarked, I mean.
yeah. So I don't know if anyone was able to take a quick look at it or anyone has any questions, but I think Left Field and ourselves are very confident about submitting this and being kind of proud of where the project stands at this moment. So I think I'll leave it at that, Lynn.
Okay, and we just wanted to, if you want to go to the next page, Craig, just wanted to touch base on where we ended up with the budget. We had both PMNC, which was an independent estimator, and our construction manager, Consigli, both estimate the project. And what was noteworthy, go to the next page, is that at the end of the day, we were less than 1% variance between the two budgets. Our original budget was 133,993,738. But as you all recalled, we added 7 million in order to be able to incorporate the geothermal system. And both estimates, were pretty close to the and if you look in the far right, before reconciliation is the first three columns of numbers, and the after reconciliation were the last three, and both estimators came in under our budget. Consigli was a little under, and we ended up putting the difference between their estimate and our budget into our design and pricing contingency, just so that we kept it within the budget in case we need it during the next phase as we complete the design of the project. So we've had working hard and seeing where the bid market is. We've had some good luck there too, to be able to stay within budget despite being hit with a lot of issues along the way. The team has been able to manage to resolve them and to keep the project within budget as we continue to progress in design.
Gene, where we keeping a list of all the day 2 items? I know 2 meetings ago, Mayor McGee talked about the green roof and maybe some funding coming from somewhere else. How are we capturing any potential day 2 item?
I didn't understand what kind
Like
of, sorry?
Yeah, is there a list of day 2 items that you're keeping track for the project?
So
Go
maybe
ahead,
if I understand what you're talking about, any reimbursements or rebates that we might be getting
Oh.
back from IRA or Mass Save or any of those. Is that what you're talking about? How are we incorporating those in the overall budget?
No, I think we were still halfway to the design phase, and we talked about potential a green roof. I think that came up as an idea, and then we squashed it. And then we talked about it maybe just having the infrastructure in as part
Okay,
of
I
this
understand.
project, right? And then potentially there might be funding out there from various group that might be able to fund the green roof in the future if we decide to
So
go forward with that.
we've
There's
incorporated,
been a few ideas that's been popping, but I'm just saying how we, it's almost, how we capturing this so that people that's part of this group here don't just feel like, right, their voice is not being heard.
so everything that we identified in DD that was a value engineering opportunity, that we moved to be an alternate for the project, all were incorporated within the project this time around, except for the learning deck, the learning roof deck. We kept that one as an alternate. It's about just under $1 million, the value of it. We do feel confident at this point that we'll probably be able to incorporate it in the final. But for now, just to give us some flexibility in the overall budget, we've held it aside as an alternate.
Perfect.
But we are at this point feeling confident that we'll be able to get that in the project by the time we hit the 100% construction documents.
Sounds good. Thank you.
So everything else has been incorporated into the project.
Thanks.
Does anyone have any other questions on the submission that we can answer before we ask for a vote?
Seeing none, would anyone like to make the motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
This is the motion to approve the 60% construction document submission and authorize the field to transmit it to the MSBA on July 12th, 2024. Roll call, please.
Mayor Nicholson,
Yes.
Dr. Alvarez, Mr. Bertino,
Yes.
Member Castellanos,
Yes.
Councilor Chakoudas,
Yes.
Mr. Donovan,
Yes.
Ms. Drago, Member Gately, Ms. Gerardo, Mr. Kolokides,
Yes.
Councilor LaPierre,
Yes.
Mr. Makua,
Yes.
Mr. Mannion,
Yes.
Mr. Marlin,
Yes.
Mayor McGee,
Yes.
Councilor Meany, Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Ridley,
Yes.
Mr. Rittershouse, Ms. Ruggiero,
Yes.
Mr. Smart. So the motion carries 14-0.
Thank you, everybody. So I'm going to turn this over to Brendan. I think he's on, just to talk a little bit about what's starting to happen on site and what to expect for the rest of the summer.
Yeah, so good evening, everyone. If you've been by the school, you've seen our site fence go up around the perimeter of the job site. Right now, we are actively setting up construction jersey barriers along the MWRA easement through the middle of the current, what used to be Magnolia Park. Over the next week and a half, you're going to start to see pieces of equipment come in, start to actually begin prepping soil. In the next few weeks, you're going to start seeing a little more trucking, going to be removing some soil from site. So I'd say the next week and a half is still some more prep work until you actually start to see some work happen and some soil be removed from site. So our goal is still, we're attacking the retaining wall at the backside of the current Sisson Elementary, so we can get a temp playground turned over for the fall.
Brandon, do you want me to show the photos that you sent?
Sure, yeah. There's just some quick shots of the temp fence now set up around the top of the Sisson parking lot. And a quick shot of Magnolia Ave. That'll be where our entry is for as we go to set up our construction trailers and lay down for subcontractors and parking, etc. So right now, not shown as of the last couple of days, we started to set the Jersey barriers on that MWA easement, which is right through the grass in the middle of this photo here.
And I see Mr. Mannion has a question.
I just want to know what all these delays are doing for the overall schedule of open September 2026. Are we behind now?
We are
So-
behind. It's likely to be more of a mid-year move as opposed to September, but we're doing everything we can to tighten that up. But we have lost a good bit of time over the last several months.
Okay, thank you.
That's about it from an update, Craig. I guess hopefully next month we see some more progress. Well, we definitely should.
Fantastic. Thank you. And just a quick peek. So one of the things Consigli will be doing is providing sort of a week to week, we call them look ahead schedules. And so that will help us keep track of what's coming in the following week and a couple weeks out.
And that look ahead schedule should have been in, well, is part of the monthly report packet that you received if you ever want to take a look at it offline.
And I see member Gately's got her hand raised.
First of all, I want to apologize for being late, but I'm here. And second of all, I don't know if Tom Mannion asked you this question, but I'm wondering where we are with the MSBA pipe. The pipe that goes underneath the ground that we are worried about. We're supposed to hear approval from the Mass Water Resources. Do we get
Yes.
that?
So we have approval for our temporary crossings, which was the most critical for us to be able to start our work on site. So we received that on June 28th.
Oh, great.
So we now, that's why we're full go setting up the job site. You should start to see equipment in the next week and a half, 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Yep.
And just a quick overview of the schedule. We're getting ready to full-blown start on construction. And it's going to take us a 30-month duration to complete. So we're looking at a mid-year move in school opening.
I'm just going to add a note on the timing. I think folks may remember that, and Lynn, you can correct me or add any context that you have, but we originally had to move that opening date in the context of the financing discussion. We made a decision to delay our submission because under the then at the time MSBA reimbursement rates, we would have gotten an effective 45% reimbursement because the rates were capped at such a low rate relative to the actual costs. And we made a big push with the legislative delegation and a dozen other cities pointing out that this was extremely inequitable and sort of undermining the whole system. And then the MSBA did increase their rates, and we're now in the mid 60s, I think, as a percentage of effective reimbursement. It's a $30 million swing. And the byproduct of that was a shift in the timeline, which is frustrating. I mean, I think we all had hoped that this would be ready for the 26-27 school year, but I think that's important context for us to keep in mind as we're looking at this calendar. I also just want to share in the environmental permitting that has also been, to be frank, a source of frustration. And this is not limited to Lynn. We've been talking to other cities that are also having some issues with the environmental permitting process, and our state delegation is aware and has been really helpful. Fortunately, I think we were able to break through some of those issues to get this approval last week, and it's a big milestone. So I just want to thank the project team, because it was a huge lift to get that over the finish line. And also thank the regulator team. I mean, they did work with us to try to make sure that they, were gonna, once they understood the context and what we were dealing with, we were able to get to a point where it worked, and it worked for the project. And I also want to thank the delegation who was helpful there here as well, particularly Representative Cahill, in making sure that everyone had the context for this project. So it's a big milestone, and I'm really glad we hit it. And I'm also really excited about the milestone tonight at 60% design. And I want to thank everyone for all your help to get here.
And another good positive that came out of this last phase of design is that we were able to incorporate the geothermal system into the project and into the budget, which, is a real positive for the city.
Savings. Well done.
So just quick overview of what's coming up. We have the groundbreaking ceremony that a date was decided on September 20th at 10 a.m. We're looking to complete the 90% submission and be back in front of you on October 16th to submit that submission, or get a vote on it and to submit it to MSBA by the 18th. And we're looking to complete the entire design process by November 13th and submit on November 15th. So pretty soon we'll be fully into construction and able to move the project forward without any other hindrances. We're getting there.
Actually, while we're on the topic of SBC meetings, the batch that I had previously sent out have all eclipsed. I think this was maybe our last one from that old batch. And so my plan, unless anyone opposes, my plan is to send out another batch of, say, 6 or so meetings to get them in everyone's calendars nice and early. And then for the folks at home, just a reminder that we've got a project website. You can submit questions or comments, whatever you'd like. Keep track of what's going on with the project, and also our YouTube channel where this video and all other meetings, all other public meetings are posted.
All right. Any other questions? Well, thank you all again. We got a hot summer night and another great turnout. No problem getting a quorum. So thank you all so much for being here and for all your support. We know that our students and teachers desperately need this building, and it is so exciting to see us making this progress. So thank you all for your help.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Stay cool.
Good night,
Good
everyone.
Good night,
care.
everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.